How you doing? My name's Eric Odell, and I've been riding for quite a few years. And my question is, how do you get your average speed a little bit higher than what you're normal used to?
Intervals. They're not glorious, but they work. Essentially, in order to ride faster overall, you have to ride faster for short periods of time repeatedly. So, the best analogy has come from running. No one's ever going to run an 8-minute mile in an event by running 10-minute miles in training. It's just in order to get that 8-minute mile pace, you need to run 8-minute miles. In order to ride 25 miles an hour for a given amount of time, you have to ride 25 miles an hour when you don't have the fitness to sustain 25 miles an hour for long periods of time. So that's where we use things like steady state intervals and climbing repeats and things along those lines, where maybe for 10 minutes you can hold 25 miles an hour, but it's not a sustainable pace for you. So you do 10 minutes and you rest for 5. You do 10 minutes again, rest for 5, and maybe it's 3 by 10. And you keep doing that for a number of weeks, and your cruising speed starts to get closer and closer to that 25 miles an hour, because you're putting your body under enough stress that it's figuring that I better adapt to this level of effort because you keep doing this to me, and you get stronger, or this is going to continue to hurt. The body essentially that's how it responds. You put it under an unsustainable level of stress, and it responds by building the structures and systems that are necessary to cope with that stress better the next time.
Okay. So that also works on the hills too. If you want to be able to climb hills really fast, you've got to do interval hills also, correct?
Yep. Yeah. And sometimes that means only going up a portion of the hill. So, I don't know. I have to confess, I don't know the terrain around your area all that well. I know that Idaho has some very big hills. I don't know if that's where you guys are though. If it's out here, we have climbs that last 1 to 2 to 3 hours, and so you don't do an hour at a time and then come all the way. We'll do 10 minutes up, cruise down, and do 10 minutes up again, or something like that, or even 3 or 4 minutes up. The key to those intervals, though, is that the power output, or the effort level, the intensity level, has to stay at the right point. So the interval is too long if your speed and power fall to nothing. For instance, if you're using a power meter, if the repeat range is that you're supposed to climb at 275 watts, and it's a 10-minute interval, I always tell my athletes, if you're in the third interval and you're 5 minutes into it and your power is now at 250 and falling, stop. There's no reason to continue with the rest of that interval. If you do the last 5 minutes at 230 watts, that's all you're doing is making yourself tired. So without a power meter, you're going to have to kind of do it on pace, where if 7 miles an hour is what you're able to sustain during the intervals on the climbs, then when it starts getting down to 5 and 4 miles an hour, because you're at the end of the third interval, just stop. That you're done for the day.
All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Are you still there?
Yep.
Okay, good. You're not moving on our end, but that's okay. We've got another question. We're going to talk about nutrition just for a second. Come on up, introduce yourself. And
How you doing?
How are you?